What I'd like to share this morning is something that's extremely important to me. I had the pleasure of being at Wembley with you last year, and the wonderful part about what I do for a living, I actually have one of the coolest jobs at Avaya. I'm part of our worldwide CTO office, so global role, impact in the product management team is what we build for a living, what we drive as kind of the business technology solutions you need in your organizations. And the way we drive that most specifically is with partners like Britannic, where we're delivering not just the product, not just pieces of a puzzle, but solutions that run end to end. As a vendor, we class lead in some of the technology I'll talk about in the next 29 minutes. But I can't take that to market without partners like these guys. So as you're milling around today, definitely look at what is the value add, because the world in which we've been for so long now, I said last year, has changed. And it's changed so significantly that now 5 key trends, they drive every single piece of adoption criteria for every business that's out there. You can kind of start with this idea around what we call big data. And the best way to describe this is a quick show of hands. Who's got Foursquare in the room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 6. Foursquare is a phenomenal public application. It's a social application that's designed to be like a game that you play based on your GPS location. It's similar to geocaching in many respects, which a few more people are kind of, you go out, you go into the wilderness, you find a little thing somewhere hidden under a tree, you sign it and you walk away and mark up that you've been there. Foursquare is one of these things that you play in cities. So I flew in from New York yesterday. Foursquare is massive there. Not because of the social implication per se, but because of the big data piece. Foursquare allows businesses to offer features to their users, but more importantly, their customers. They can offer things like vouchers or discounts. In fact, if you go to a Costa Coffee at Liverpool Street and you're the first to check in, which is where you say, I'm here, you click the Foursquare button, you get your coffee for free. If you do that more often than anyone else, you become the mayor of that particular thing. I'm actually mayor of a bar, which won't surprise many of you. But I'm mayor of a bar in London, and I get 50% off everything I spend there and everything I eat there. And as a result, I sometimes spend time there where I wouldn't normally go. Maybe I finish work, I go for a beer, I finish off some emails. This idea that they are gathering data about users in the real world based on user trending and using that to promote how businesses can interact and how their customers can interact is prevalent in every vertical that I talk to. How do we gather that information, and how do we use that information intelligently to make more effective decisions about customer service and customer outreach? Contact centers here are the driver for it in the enterprise world. Because, in fact, mobility and bring your own device, typically with the premise of UC. You think about your mobile device, you think about the fact you have a PC. I'll give you an example. I walked in this morning with this presentation and said to the guys who've been really helpful at the back, this doesn't work. This morning, for some reason, I had certificate issues and my Microsoft wireless adapter hadn't, whatever it was, I don't understand. And they said, hey, no problems, we can just work around this. Do you have it in the cloud? Yes, I have it in the cloud. Can I pull it down to this PC? Yeah, we can pull it down. And this is actually now running from their device. But I was trying to bring my own device there and it failed. What I didn't think to do, I have an iPad mini. Quick show of hands, who's got an iPad? Yeah, that's a little bit more like it. Foursquare, 2 people, iPads, everyone. Now, on my iPad, I made the decision a couple of days ago to upgrade it to iOS 7. Yeah, so the giggles have started. You know where I'm going with this. So it was really nice. My battery life was, I don't know, maybe a day. In fact, one flight from New York to London was an iPad battery when watching movies. Now, to the point about the first ever Motorola phone, it's 30 minutes and I charge it for 2 hours. That's not a great customer and user experience for me. In fact, I was speaking to Nick this morning in the cab about how is the Galaxy variant, how's the Android variant of that? And I thought, why am I worried about what device I have? Shouldn't I actually be worried about what I'm doing on that device? Consider the stats when you look at 1 billion tablets in the next few years, 1 billion tablets. I use my iPad 10 times more than I use my PC. I use my iPad now to actually create using this Prezi tool that I'm working with this morning, and I use it because it's easy. But I don't have an iPhone, all of you know that. I now have a HTC One. having assessed, is it a Samsung, is it a Huawei device, is it a Microsoft Windows phone, etc., etc., I settled on the HTC as the best device for me. When I use that at business, when I go to work with that device, why can't I use certain applications on that? Surely I should be able to do so, because in the end, that move is driven by social trends. The way that we consume at home is often more effective than how we consume at work. At Avaya, we have an infrastructure which we're upgrading to on Avaya. We're bringing all of our collaboration tools, all of our features, which I'll talk about a little bit later in this presentation, to everyone in the organization. Last year, we rolled Scopia, our video client, and we had over 4,000 sessions in one day, 4,000 accounts in one day to everyone. We don't know what devices they're using from this bring your own device world. All we know is that they want to consume the technology, not because we told them to, but because they use similar tools at home. 6 billion hours of YouTube video is cloud-based video. Think about what that means in terms of what your user expectation becomes when they come into your office to go to work. Why can't they have the same tools? Think about Facebook. We talk about big data, and Facebook's a perfect example. I went to my Facebook messages page, and I realized I could scroll back through every message I've ever sent. The point I would make is that this idea around social trends, around bring your own device and around big data, are driven by a very clear shift in business need for security. Because security was always the barrier to adopting those things. How do I secure my information in the cloud? Oh, it's very scary. Think about finance institutions. There's the old adage, if you can sell it to a bank, you can sell it to anyone. Banks are using security to drive investment in cloud. As I say, I was in the US for the last couple of weeks. In fact, for the very first time in the last couple of years, Avaya had a global sales conference. Now, we have run those virtually. We've run those via RadVision investment. We've run those even using AAC, our collaboration platform, Avaya Aura conferencing. This year, we decided that we would bring all of the sales and all of the SE community to Anaheim in California. It's great, actually. I don't get to see my team together, so we can all kind of interact and chat very often. The point I would make is that cloud was a tool that we used to use to bring people together, but it's not the only tool. It can't be about just cloud. It has to be about, what do you do with cloud? Where is the business value from cloud? There is no CapEx benefit to moving all of your services to cloud. There is an OpEx benefit for using features and functionality in the cloud. While I was out in the US, this is huge. The idea that security is at the point now where we can drive cloud-based services is absolutely phenomenal. Because people don't want to just invest in a cloud solution, they want to augment what they do by placing services in an augmented cloud. That's what's changed. Rather than thinking about it as a bubble that exists in a space somewhere in the everything that is the internet, now it's about what bits can I add up there that overlay onto my existing investment. I spent some time with a bank out there. It's quite a nice little boutique bank. It's many banks under one umbrella. And they're looking at the fact that they have many disparate systems to manage. They have various communication systems from Cisco. They have some from us, in fact. They have some of the Nortel portfolio from back in the old days of Avaya. And then in the background, they have some of the pieces using Link, some of the pieces, in fact, many more so using SameTime, and they see SameTime as their growth application in that business. How do you bring those things together? And the point about this idea of change is that these 5 things are changing today. They don't stand still. In fact, cloud accelerates faster than anything else that we look at. That 80% growth in new services into cloud, that's not a myth. That's a thing that we didn't create as a vendor. That's something that exists in the world driven by user experience and customer expectation. Cloud, by the way, can't be a thing that you leave behind just for your enterprise. Every investment that you make in services and solutions that you're going to deliver in the cloud, why are you not delivering those also to your customers? Why are you not enhancing the interaction with the people that you work with beyond that boundary of your enterprise? Cloud gives you that. When you implement cloud well, it's that idea that at your side, it's safe and secure, and at the side facing the client, it gives them the level of ability to interact with your investments. All of a sudden, your ROI model moves to something that's now called eROI, enhanced ROI. You don't measure it on the bottom line, you measure it in the form of business transformation. I'll talk about that towards the end. So where does that leave us? Well, here's your growth stats. Mobility, the biggest investment that will be made in the next 12 months. 82% of businesses in the next 12 months want mobility. What is mobility? Mobility is the idea that when I leave my desk, the things that I'm used to working with, the elements of my business tools don't become deprecated. They don't lose features and functionality. Mobility is the idea that, in fact, I can work anywhere. It has to be when it's on, when it's off, and I can choose. BlackBerry have an amazing device in the form of the Z10 and the Z30. It's a brilliant phone. The hardware is excellent. But the thing that really drives mobility in that device is that I have a personal workspace and a business workspace. That changes mobility because now it's bring your own device, but I can isolate the pieces that I want to use when I'm at work, or when I'm on a plane, or when I'm in the park. And all of those tools in mobility are supported by that similar large growth in cloud. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with the idea that we have to understand that in this entire ecosystem of solutions, businesses, future interactions, what is needed? You can't define what's needed. You can't go to your users and your customers and define what's needed. I can't say to businesses that want to interact with my organization, hey, we've got these great tools we can serve you from our augmented cloud, from our boundary solution, but you've got to have a MacBook. Wrong answer. You've got to have a Windows Surface. Wrong answer. What you want to say is, come into my organization and interact in an aware way, in a collaborative way, with whatever tools that you have at your fingertips. One of the reasons that we went with RadVision last year, and that growth in the last 12 months since I last spoke to you at Wembley, has been huge. Not because it's necessarily the finest video product on the planet in every use case. It's excellent in every use case. But when you think about room systems, you're not going to get everyone walking into a room and sitting in front of a tablet. So the use case is absolutely key. But the thing that's driven people investing in Scopia is that it sits on top of your existing investment. So you don't necessarily have to change out your entire organization. And it works on anything. The user experience is the same on anything. When you combine that with big data drives the idea that I can now understand context. So when I do speak to my mum, I know it's voice. When I speak to my dad, I know it's FaceTime. When I speak to my sister, I know it's Twitter. When I speak to my PA, I know normally I'm going to get told off for something, but in the end, it's going to be whatever interaction is most common for us, and that's absolutely critical. Context, driven over any application to any device. Because customers are not thinking about what's just the right people, the right place, and the right time. They're thinking, wow, I need it to be federated. Federation is an enormous growth in the next 12 months. Not for us as vendors, it is, but not as much as it is for you, customers, and it is for partners that deliver federation solutions. What do you have today? What might you want tomorrow for your business? And how might you choose to get those things to interact without that deprecation in user experience? Because when you kill the user experience, you kill adoption. I was with a boutique hospital Monday in New York. Brand new, they've got full investment in their architecture, they've got legacy stuff all over the place. They don't have iPads for nurses. They don't have mobile phones for nurses. They have a device called a Vault device, which is basically an iPhone wrapped in a big shell with an extra battery, a barcode reader, and a medication reader so they can now beep a patient, there's the medication, off the trolley, next place. Their investment in patient entertainment is not based around the fact they want to charge them for video at the bedside. They want to give them video, social media. They want to tie it into the Avaya communications environment underneath, one-touch voice access. They want the patient notification system to work from that terminal, from the button at the side of the bed. They want the consultants to be aware, context relevant, where are my patients? Which are the nurses on shift? How do we take that information from the patient booking system? How do we take it from the nurses on call system? How do we integrate all that into one place? And how do we do that when 90% of that solution is bespoke? Federation. And we announced something called the collaboration environment 4 weeks ago. And in the market that we live in today, of all the vendors that exist today, no one, not one vendor offers that level of federation interaction on any API that's open and available to integrate those types of solutions, not with each other, but with everything. It's the biggest change and the biggest investment Avaya's made in federated technology ever. And it's the first step because it also delivers the same features and functionality, the same federated options via the cloud. And that for me is critical because it means we're starting to build a corporate strategy here and we're thinking about what are the highlights for our customers with Avaya? What are the things that they want in terms of augmented cloud? How are we driving UC and CC to come together? What are we thinking about when it comes down to supporting change in that customer? And moving forward from that, understanding that the depth of innovation is as important as the breadth of innovation. Because if you just overlay a whole bunch of new applications without considering how will they be used in my business, what change will they drive, how flexible will they be moving forward, the user adoption will fail. It's an interesting thing because the combination of factors for user acceptance is complex. And I saw that recently Nuance announced a brilliant thing about Mercedes integration in the next generation of car. You can now have tweets and information read to you in your car. And I thought, wow, that's not a reason to buy a Merc, but certainly if that technology spans any vehicle, now I'm thinking I can use my Flipboard. So if you don't have Flipboard, by the way, get it for your iPad, which most of you have. And you can now filter what streams are relevant to you in the world of the internet. That allows us to say, yeah, now the context of the information is delivered because that's what I want. It's the things that I'm interested in, motoring, technology, a little bit about gaming. And then that information is now presented to me via Nuance, read to me in the car. Suddenly it's like my wanting to consume visual data, but it's auditorily available, and I can just listen to it as I drive along. That's a depth of innovation, not a breadth of innovation. And in fact, when you apply that to business, there's 3 ways of innovating. The boring one's this one. What are your business processes? How can we fix them? Where's your latency? How can we save you money? It's important, but it's boring. I'm a geek, all right? I like technology, but not just for technology's sake. I like to know about how it works with people. So what I'm really interested in now is, can I take partnerships where many businesses come together, federation, can I use that to understand what is the business process, and can I then drive that out to business transformation solutions that encompass this entire ecosystem? Because business solutions are not about, is it a contact center, it is a UC. You go talk to most of my customers, they go, hey, Avaya, good to see you. What's your new contact center innovation today? And I'm going, well, we've got multi-channel, it's great, it's good, it allows you to do social in and media out and blah, blah, blah. I go see customers that have our phones, they go, wow, what's your next phone? And I'm going, well, it's out next year, we've got a docking tablet, we've got new high-definition phones, high-definition screens, video integration, application at the desktop phone. That's all very well and good. That's not the conversations I have. I have conversations like, wow, did you see that your competitor has just started offering the ability for them to do one-touch speaking via the web application on an Android phone? Did you see that Kindle, last night, for the first time in the UK, advertised the ability to have that idea that I can touch once and a support advisor pops up on my Kindle and explains to me how to share my video with my television in my living room? That's now. That's not tomorrow, that's today, and that's a business solution. So which parts do we deliver? Which parts do you have? And which parts are you growing into, driven by this idea that I want enterprise-class solutions? You put voice or contact center into the world, and you don't put it in with 5 nines, you've failed. Now, voice is not pretty much the leading standard in how people communicate, but it is one of the most powerful parts when we look at interaction. Think about what happens if my PC is dead. My laptop right now is dead. If my communication tool is only on my desktop, and I can't do anything else without that, then suddenly I'm stood here with the equivalent of a voice phone. Think about what happens then in the world if I can say, well, actually, no, I now have my Avaya Flare application across all those devices. I don't lose anything at that point. An enterprise-class solution is always virtualized. If you don't virtualize your solutions, then at that point your CapEx is too high, you won't adopt it. Because in the end, this idea that collaboration is key. In the end, the best way is to guide them into how it will enhance what they do for a living. Oh, did you see yesterday? Richard was in the US, and he spoke with 2 guys in Japan and 1 guy in the UK, and the guy in the UK showed him what the problem was, and the other guys could all see it. Before that, it was take a picture, send a picture. The healthcare organization I spoke to yesterday, they share x-rays with the radiology department back and forth simultaneously. It's live, it's not sent, it's just automatically there. They're driving collaboration because the nurses, who are not technical, see that and go, wow, okay, this is simple, this works for me. We can even tell them with the Avaya solution where those patients, where those nurses are, with the RFID integration, with the GPS integration from that bring your own device or bring the device we tell you to bring. We do that because this idea of contact center in UC, and this is probably the most important change that will happen, there is no contact center in UC anymore. There are technologies that exist in those traditional silos, but the key that's the change is interaction. In Brazil, they just passed a law. If you can't monitor the data between your front end and your back office for 15 years in the finance industry, you are breaking the law. And at the moment, most businesses in the world, they look at the contact center as one piece, UC as another piece, and video as another piece. Video is not another piece. Video is a communication tool. It's called unified communications. Communications is not different from contact center. That promotes communication. These solutions are all one. An investment for transformation becomes all one. And none of that's possible, by the way. You think about bring your own device as a good example. You can't bring your own device if you've not looked at your Wi-Fi infrastructure in the last 10 years. I've seen that happen. That's one of the biggest limiters, if you will, to user adoption. Yeah, big organization, manufacturing shop floor, rolls out these smart devices which are customized, battery packs, etc. They've got all these great apps, they've got Avaya Flare, they've got AAC, they've got all these separate things on there, but when they actually try and come to use it, it floods the Wi-Fi network, it's game over. So smart networks and intelligent networks drive the ability to support these optimizations of the cool stuff. Everyone goes, oh, level 7, applications, cool. Level 1, level 2, level 3 in the OSI model. Yes, I said OSI model on stage, amazing, isn't it? Level 1, 2, and 3, boring, sleepy. But it's not boring and sleepy. Because the proof point for it works is this stack of technology. And when partners and vendors work together, they bring you this stack of technology, and it's as successful as things like the Sochi Olympics, where we delivered this Fabric Connect architecture between 48 kilometers apart, no deprecation of speed. We can run their security services and video feeds first. We can run the media services and video streaming second to the broadcasting companies. And then think about the next piece. Anyone sitting down in the Bay Area wants to watch the downhill skiing, but they haven't got the tickets, so they're going to their own event. They go onto their tablet, and they stream that event live over the Avaya network. That works. You can't do that without a Fabric Connect architecture. There's one Fabric Connect architecture in the world. It's ours. So there's this idea that the foundation drives that intervention, that drives that depth of innovation, but guarantees its delivery. It's such a simple idea when you think about it, because that's not us forcing it upon that business, forcing it upon Sochi. That's them asking for it, because that's how their users and their visitors and the athletes want to consume. So what do you do with that? Because they already had some architecture, so we federated. We worked together and we built those interactions. We didn't do that alone. We have partners in Russia that helped us. Partner community at Avaya is one of the most important things for those types of value pieces. It's one of the reasons I come to this event every year. So I'll leave you with a couple of ideas around customer experience, because customer experience is the most important change for contact centers, because contact centers are now part of UC, they're part of how we interact. I think about social media and I think about how it allows me to interact with different people from my customer experience standpoint. At NatWest, I'm in New York, I've used my card twice, why have you turned it off? I think about what that means when we go to how we're delivering these cloud services to businesses so they can absorb that information. If your social media strategy as a business is, yeah, we got Johnny, he sits in marketing, he watches Twitter for us, not a strategy. But if it is autonomous and brings all these separate pieces in and makes it relevant to your organization, that's a strategy. You can only really do that with cloud, and we also have collaboration environment that drives it. In the end, then, the future of interactions will be very interesting. When we look at that insight, that eye into the future, we're seeing that the collaboration environment piece drives a couple of key things. The move from user experience to user interaction. How you choose to interact with your different people, how you decide you want to make communication, that's your choice. But the solutions that you purchase, the solutions that you invest in the next 3 years, you've got to understand there are so many different ways that that's the most important part of your investment. What are you doing to drive that user interaction, the federation to anywhere? What are you doing to make sure that you've augmented with cloud, not just replaced with cloud, added value? What are you doing around things like securing the identity of both your people and your customers? And are you using tools like WebRTC to embed communications in your applications today? Because that's another key part of what you have to do. Big organization called Bosch, one of our biggest customers. They've got a huge amount of investment in their own tools. They don't want us to go in and replace it with a desktop client or an instant messaging and presence client. What they want us to do is to take the communications architecture and invest directly beneath or even embed within WebRTC in their HTML5 applications, which, by the way, run on every device. A lot of organizations are investing in Flash, and you've immediately taken anything on iOS out of the equation. What does that mean for the user adoption? What I'm trying to get to, guys, is that it's this idea that there'll never be a single vendor environment. You've got vendors in the room today. When I go across customers, I don't go into that customer and say, oh, I see you've got Mitel. Let me rip all that out for you and give you Avaya. Because the customer goes, oh, there's a door. I don't go into a customer and say, I see you've got Link. Let me tell you about Flare. And they go, well, we've already paid for this. Or we're in the process of rolling this out. We can use Flare in some places, but we want it on our desktops with Link. I can't do that, because it's a journey. It's this piece around real time leads very simply to the evolution of your business. It leads to the idea that it's virtualized end to end. It gives you this idea it's open, it's extendable. It drives that security environment that you need, but that delivers on a choice of vendors in a deployment, a preferred choice on the partners that supply those technologies within your environment. And it's available today, by the way. Everything I've said, all these amazing things, the things that Jonathan talked about in his keynote, all those pieces are not tomorrow, it's now. And in fact, the last two quotes, and then I'll jump off the stage. Arthur C. Clarke made some great quotes in his time. If you've never read anything by Arthur C. Clarke, go do it. He said, interestingly, that with technology, there's a point where technology becomes significantly advanced, that it's indistinguishable from magic. That blurring barrier and this idea that if we don't push one step beyond the possible to understand what's impossible, those two things, part of Clarke's 3 laws, have been limiting barriers because of imagination. And the world has changed. The idea that technology demands before are now indistinguishable from what they are today and will be tomorrow is part of what you have to consider when you invest. And investments now are not just about how do you save money, it's about how do you bring this entire ecosystem into one piece so that it can actually make you more money. Thank you.